The conservatives over at Morning Joe are continuing to blame identity politics and wokeness for the loss of Vice President Kamala Harris in last week's election.
White elitists that run the Democratic Party are far to the left of many black and Hispanic voters in the Democratic Party. These white progressives on the far left said, we're going to save you, black and Hispanic people of America. A lot of black and Hispanic people in America say, no thanks. You're kind of wild. You're too far left. We believe in the American dream. We want to be part of the American dream. Thanks, but no thanks. Keep that in your college classes.
You see, it's all the fault of the woke.
The wokers.
They're the ones, and not our, lack of real economic agenda that's going to, help everyday Americans. No. It's the woke. It's the woke. Even though that, the Morning Joe here. Look, Morning Joe, there's nobody more white elite than MSNBC's Morning freaking Joe, okay? You want to talk about the pot, calling the kettle, all right? And for the, you got the white progressives in their ivory tower telling black people that we're going to sit. No, they didn't. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? Oh, my God. All right. So, look, are there elitists in the Democratic Party? Yes. Yes. Are they running it? Yes. That's the problem. That was the problem the whole time. Not, white progressives, you know what I'm saying? With their wokeism and their identity politics. That's the real problem. No. You're the problem, Morning Joe. That's it. and by the way, this is why Harris couldn't say how she was different than Joe Biden. It's why she campaigned with Liz Cheney in order to try to get not progressive voters, conservative voters, Republican voters, the never Trumpers. Turns out nobody thinks the Cheneys are brat. Whoa. I know. Shocker. Look, one of the uniting things, by the way, with the far right and what is considered to be the far left, as Joe Scarborough points out, is our hatred of the Cheneys. So, right-wingers watching this, I hate the Cheneys just as much as you do. Probably more. And so I also am not in favor of endless warfare and what we did to the Iraqi people. So congratulations, common ground. Okay. Here's the thing, though. Okay. What Joe Scarborough is doing is he is conveniently trading the establishment for the far left. Here's the thing, though. What Joe Scarborough is doing is basically running cover for the establishment by claiming that Kamala Harris is running on things that she wasn't running on. Here are a few examples.
The trans ad, which, of course, we've talked about time and again. Rick Wilson came on and showed an opposing ad. Yeah. 30,000 times on the NFL, they showed Kamala Harris saying that she would support the funding of transition surgeries in prison, and taxpayers would pay for it. And it, of course, was the law at the time during the Trump administration. But they refused. I mean, maybe it makes you feel good when you see people trash college campuses. I know it doesn't. But maybe it makes progressives go, oh, it's like the 60s all over again. Well, guess what? Most Americans didn't like the trashing of college campuses in the 60s. That's why Richard Nixon got elected twice. Why he got elected out of 49 states in 1972. We're saying defund the police. No. We need more police on the street protecting our children as we walk to school. We need more children in the classroom. In the classrooms, more police officers, safety officers.
So wait. The trans ad, college campuses, but wait, not beating up the protesters enough. That's the position that they're coming from. And we didn't crush them enough in those college campuses. When it came to those pro-peace protesters. Oh yeah, we should have crushed them more. And of course, to defund the police, well, we should have, funded the police more so we could crush them more. Oh, wait, that's exactly what happened. Look, did Kamala Harris run on being super, super pro-trans, she said she'd follow the law, which is pretty milquetoast, right? Pretty, pretty like, but okay, ooh, the most tiniest support for the trans community. Ah, gotcha. College campuses, once again, she reiterated how, it's anti-Semitic, and agreed with the Biden position, which is they're pro-Hamas protesters and must be crushed and removed. And then, of course, defund the police. Kamala's literally a cop. What are you talking about? No, look, again, none of that really should have factored into the campaign because she didn't run on any of those positions that he claims that she was in support of, right? No, what her campaign focused on was getting the never Trump vote, the never Trump Republican vote. And it failed spectacularly because it turns out there's about 12 never Trump Republicans in this country, and most of them are on cable news. Okay, so how does he not get this? Well, it's because his paycheck depends on him not getting it. Okay, that's the whole point. Look, at the end of the day, Kamala Harris ran the most safe, centrist-friendly campaign that you could run. Okay, and again, it started out like, picking Tim Walz, fantastic, and then immediately sidelined him. Okay, and can't call Republicans weird, huh? No, I can't do that no more. We can't not going back. Yeah, I can't say that. No. Let's run on Cheney as Brat. Okay, let's run on democracy. Now it turns out democracy pretty important to a lot of voters, right? But it didn't turn out in the way of votes. Okay, so now look, while Kamala ran on a very safe centrist campaign, okay, Donald Trump ran on a culture war campaign. Yeah, he didn't run on economic populism. He ran on trans people bad. I'm going to deport all the migrants. That's it. Again, the anti-transit's a great example of that. Now, the thing is that ad, what it did brilliantly was tie transphobia into economic concerns, right? So remember, the whole focus of it is transgender criminals getting your tax money, telling people that they're going to pay for sexual reassignment surgeries for criminals. It's pretty effective messaging because it's horrible. But here's the thing, and I know this is going to be super controversial, right? I think people that saw that, I don't think they hate trans people, right? I think that it kind of triggered something in them to be like, hey, I'm barely surviving out here, and I'm going to have to pay for this? Well, I don't like that idea, even though it's not true. It's not true at all, okay? It's never happened, okay? There's been $0 of tax money that has been spent on sex reassignment surgeries for criminals in prison. But just the idea that it could happen and the prevalence of and the effectiveness of conservative messaging on it makes you think that, oh my God, all this money, oh Jesus. Now, here's the thing. If it did happen, it would be incredibly rare, and it would come to pennies, fractions of a cent on all the taxpayers, okay, because of how rare it is. And it's kind of funny to look at it like, oh my God, an economic issue, and I don't want to pay for that because I'm getting crushed, right? Well, it's kind of funny because you have corporate subsidies that take a much, much bigger share of your tax money. So if I'm right, and that was the concern, and it wasn't just transphobia, because I'm not ready to write everybody off as a transphobe, because when you look at the polling, most Americans are like, live and let live, okay? I don't really care if you're trans. There's a bunch of weirdos out there who are overly concerned about what's in your pants. But most Americans don't fall into that. But I think the ones who are susceptible to that messaging, the conservative messaging on this, we're thinking more economically. And at least maybe I'm a little too hopeful in thinking that that's the case. Okay, maybe I'm trying to be too fair to the American people. Okay, and into thinking that not everybody is horrible and bigoted towards trans people. I hope I'm right. And that this was more economic than anything. All right. That said, for me, I would not care at all if someone in prison got a sex change on my dime. You know why? Because I'm more worried about the oil company that's robbing me for far, far more. And again, those reassignment surgeries, gender affirming care, actually does save lives. And so, that said, this is an example of how Republican messaging reaches people and is incredibly effective. Again, the other thing you talked about was college campuses. Oh my God, can you believe people are protesting? No, really? Wow. And they're protesting against a war that our tax money is funding. Once again, it's another thing. I would rather be funding sex reassignment surgeries for criminals in prison than sending billions of dollars over to Israel to flatten people's houses, okay, and to murder children. I would rather have my money going for the sex reassignment. At least I know I'm doing something positive, right? Now, as far as those protests went, right, Biden shut them down violently. He allowed this to happen in a lot of states, spoke out against it. There were counter-protest groups, by the way, that also did violence against the peaceful protesters who were doing nothing more than calling for a ceasefire in Gaza, okay? A ceasefire that polled very, very well among voters. And this is even after the supporters of the ceasefire were smeared as anti-Semite Hamas lovers by people like John Fetterman. So, now the other thing you talked about was defund the police. Defund the police. Oh, can you believe Democrats want to defund the police? I want more police in schools. Well, let's just ignore all the studies, of course, how school resource officers actually lead to more of a school-to-prison pipeline for African American and Latino students, and how they don't actually stop school shootings and keep children safe. No, ignore all the reality on that, all the studies on that. No, Democrats want to defund the police. How dare they? Now, here's the thing. That's just not true at all, Joe Scarborough. In 2021, the Justice Department, under Joe Biden, announced a $139 million grant to help police departments nationwide hire 1,000 new officers. But that's not all. In 2023, the Biden administration announced an additional $334 million to hire police officers and improve security at schools. The very issues that he says, Democrats, they wanted to do they did the opposite of that. And wanted to do the opposite of that, because of the woke. Truth is, there's never been a more pro-police president than Joe Biden, who, remember, wrote the 1994 crime bill. So, yeah, but that's Joe Biden. But Kamala Harris in 2019, when she was pretending to be a progressive, because that's what she was doing, took all these radical positions. Kamala is a cop, okay? And again, the most damning thing that she said was on The View. She said, I'm not going to be any different than Joe Biden. Not at all. Well, okay, well, there you go. All the stuff that Joe Scarborough talked about were not things that she was running on, okay? She was not running on this incredibly woke left-wing agenda. No, not at all. And he's lying. That's what he's a propagandist for the elites, the very elites that he claims to be decrying. No, he is doing interference, running interference in favor of them so that we don't actually talk about the real issues. Why? What's the real issue? It's the economy, stupid. I'm not calling you stupid, but I'm just saying. The number one concern here was the economy. Okay, you had inflation. And then, of course, the other ones are immigration. Which, by the way, getting to back to Joe Biden, right? Very tough on immigration, along with Harris, along with the Democratic Party, talking about, we're going to build a wall. Well, here we go. You're adopting right-wing positions and saying, hey, right-wingers, you were 100% right. Now vote for me. Well, why would anybody do that when you already have the right wing you could vote for? So there you go. Look, all this cultural stuff, the culture wars, it's not really people's main concern. And if anything, those arguments actually might be used as justification by some people for their support of a convicted criminal rapist who tried to steal the last election. Oh yeah, no, I know that Trump's bad, but did you hear about the border thing? Oh my God, I'm gonna have to vote for a fascist. Look, it's pretty clear though who the actual elites are. Okay, and what their consensus is. All right, they're blaming the left. They're blaming trans people, cancel culture. They're blaming things that Kamala Harris did not run on, instead of actually tackling the systemic issues of rampant wealth inequality, greedflation, corporate, control of the media, corporate control of the government through lobbying, super PACs, all that stuff. And by the way, speaking of all that money, Kamala Harris raised $1 billion. Where did all that money go? It went into news media. That's it. It went into advertisements being shown on television. Okay. So yeah, that's one of the big problems here. But again, the Democratic Party did not combat greedflation, right? They slowed down the rate of inflation, but people couldn't feel that in their pocketbooks. And so, there was nothing that they did to really challenge corporate power, to challenge the corporate landlords that were jacking up the rents, banks screwing over their customers. Now, you did have great enforcement from the FTC, Lena Khan, trying to do that. You had the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, all that stuff. But again, this wasn't enough because it came down to the kitchen table issues. It came down to, I can't afford as many groceries as I used to. My rent's higher. My mortgage is higher. I can't buy a house. Things like that. And so that's the problem, right? Now, that said, the result of this election is not going to be a reversal on any of those things. It's not going to be a great economic revival, right? No, it's the robbery is going to be hastened by Donald Trump and his Republican ghouls that he will be unleashing on us all. Okay, and that said, Harris did signal support for some decent economic policies, raising the minimum wage, for example. Great, $15 an hour should be more than that, but because how long have we been arguing for $15 minimum wage? A very, very long time. And with inflation now, should be a lot higher to keep up with it. And then, of course, she wanted to lower the cost of childcare for the working class. Great. Lowering healthcare costs, good, but not Medicare for all, which it should be. That'd be the real thing, because getting back to the, do you know that they're giving transgender surgeries to people, to criminals? No, they're actually not. But it would destroy that argument for one reason, right? Because people who hear that know they can't afford to go to the doctor, right? So when you hear about you're getting free healthcare in prison, and I'm paying for it, but I don't have healthcare, and so it's one of those things where if everybody had Medicare for all, for example, it wouldn't be as ineffective as a tactic, right? Because everyone would have the ability to get healthcare, which includes gender affirming care, because that is healthcare. And so once again, the Democratic Party, in not adopting these progressive positions like on healthcare, have ceded ground to the right wing to use divide and conquer as a tactic. And they're very effective at doing that. And so, again, Trump's focus on culture war stuff and divide and conquer has been incredibly effective. Incredibly effective. And Democrats did not have a way to counter it because they relied too heavily on mainstream media like Morning Joe. If anything, this proves how disastrous that is, all right? And how much Joe lives in that Washington bubble if he thinks that now he's suddenly the guy who can talk to the working class. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like, share, subscribe, hit the bell icon in order to get notified whenever a new video is released. And if you want to support independent, progressive media through this difficult time where it seems like everybody is shutting down, you become a member on our YouTube page, you become a subscriber on Facebook, or you can go to my Patreon. It's patreon.com/Jeff Waldorf. Thank you.